One genre of games that I never really got into was the roguelike genre until Dead Cells came along, and I really enjoyed playing Dead Cells on the Nintendo Switch. That sort of made me interested in this genre. So when Caveblazers was announced for the Nintendo Switch, I was admittedly pretty interested in the game. Now in the interest of full disclosure, this is a sponsored video, and there is a link in the description box down below to get some more information on Caveblazers. But as with any sponsored video, I researched the game before agreeing to it, because I'm not going to play a game that has no interest to me or I don't think will be fun, or a game that will interest you guys. So I did some research on Caveblazers, and this game actually came out on Steam a little while ago, and it had mostly positive responses. So I thought, what the hell? Let's check out this new roguelike game coming in the Nintendo Switch on January 10th called Caveblazers. So what is Caveblazers all about? Is it indeed a good game? And is it a game that you should have on your radar if you're a fan of roguelike games? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's jump into the world of Caveblazers for the Nintendo Switch.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my god, it's Stevie Richards! So the narrative in Caveblazers is pretty hollow, and most of these games don't really have a deep narrative, and I don't think Caveblazers is out there trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. You basically play as a customized character that is in search of a lot of jewels and treasures in this cave, and he goes into the cave and quickly finds out that, hey, this is a roguelike game with randomly generating levels. So of course you have to go through the game and get deeper and deeper into this cave, defeating bosses, defeating enemies, so on and so forth, as is with any sort of roguelike game. Now one of the cool things I like about the game is the character itself. There's actually somewhat of a customization system where you can customize how the character looks, get different hats, get different shirts and pants and stuff like that. You can make some really silly looking stuff, and I actually kind of like that about the game. As you play the game more and more, you unlock more stuff in the game as far as cosmetics are concerned, so you can really make your character look somewhat unique. I put like a walrus face thing on my character. I had a Santa hat at one point in time. I don't know, little silly things like that sort of made me keep playing the game more and more because I wanted to unlock more cosmetics. Now as far as the actual game is concerned, it is a roguelike game, so you're going to die. I mean, you're going to die a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot, but that's what sort of these games are about. Now this is a randomly generated game, so every time you play through the game, the layout of the levels is completely different. So it's not like you could sit there and sort of learn where different traps are, different enemies are and stuff like that, because it's a game that constantly keeps you on your toes. But honestly, I'm kind of enjoying that sort of stuff. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the randomly generated stuff and they're kind of tired of it because they prefer a more concrete level design, but I think it's kind of fun. I actually like the randomization. I like the unknown aspect of going into this level thinking, okay, I don't know what's going to be in this level. I don't know where enemies are going to be. I don't know where the treasures are going to be. So I kind of like that about the game. So one thing that Caveblazers kind of focuses on more so than just the exploration and the roguelite aspect is also platforming, because you do a lot of platforming in this game. Your character has the ability to basically do a sort of a wall jump to get up to higher levels and different areas within the levels, and I like that. It feels very smooth as you're controlling the character. And speaking of character control, one of the things I really like about the game is how the combat works in the game. So basically you have your melee attack that's mapped to one button, and you could just basically spam your melee attack when enemies are close by. But if enemies are at a distance, you actually have a sort of bow and arrow system that you can use in the game as well that's mapped to the right stick on the Joy-Con. So it's very fluid when you're playing the game. Switching between melee combat and bow and arrow combat is very fast, it's very fluid, and it's very responsive. And it's something that I actually really enjoyed about the game because I didn't have to worry about switching between like a melee weapon or a long range weapon. They're both right there on the fly. You also get magic attacks that you get throughout the level as well that have different charge times and things like that. You're constantly picking up different things within these levels, and I like some of the magic attacks. Some of them kind of suck, but some of them are pretty cool. Now as you're playing throughout the game, you're constantly looking for different things like different weapon upgrades and different health potions and different things like that, and of course treasure. As you get deeper and deeper into the levels, you come across these altars. Some of the altars require gold, some of the altars require health, and you never know what these altars are going to give you because it doesn't tell you. It's sort of a randomized thing, and it sort of keeps you on your toes. I usually avoided the health ones because my character was usually low on health to begin with, and I just went for the gold ones. Basically, as you're playing throughout the game, you're of course upgrading your character for that playthrough. So you're getting different things like different weapons or different magic abilities. And I like some of the weapons that you come across. There's different weapons that have stronger attacks. There's different weapons that have like homing arrows and stuff like that. So you're always constantly on your toes as far as how things are going to work out in your favor. Now, of course, since this is randomized, you will have run-throughs of the game where you get more abilities and more items and things like that, more so than in other runs of the game. And one of the things you'll come across while playing the game are temporary upgrades for your character through that playthrough of the game. So they're different abilities like maybe increase your agility, add a double jump, or even add a shield system that will take some impact from whenever enemies attack you. So it's constantly keeping you on your toes, and I think it's really well done. The enemies are pretty varied in how they are, mostly, you know, sort of enemies you would expect in a cave, like slimes and bats and things like that, skulls. You know, it's nothing really reinventing the wheel, but I think it's well done enough in the grand scheme of things. Now, after completing 2 sections of an area, you basically get a boss battle, and just like the rest of the game, the boss battles are randomly generated. There's a list of different bosses that you'll come across in this game, and then you'll fight the boss, but there's no sort of order. So every time you play it, you're going to be battling a different boss as far as a structured system is. So it's not like, oh, I beat level 1, here's the level 1 boss. No, it randomly cycles. And most of the bosses are pretty interesting. They have a weak point that you have to expose and basically just kill the boss. After you kill a boss, you get some more abilities, sometimes you get some health upgrades, and then you go to the next section of the game. Now, one thing that's interesting about Caveblazers is the fact that there's local co-op play in this game as well. So you can team up with a friend. Now, if you don't have anyone to play with locally, there's actually characters you'll come across in the cave that will sort of impact your gameplay. They can help you, they can hurt you. Sometimes they'll take items from you if you don't get to the items quick enough. So there's sort of a balance. You can sort of kill them if you want to get rid of them, but most of the time I like them to tag along. Even though they might have been picking up things that I wanted, it really helped when you're battling all these creatures, and it really helped with the boss battles as well. Now, aside from the main game, there's actually a custom mode as well, where you can adjust different things such as enemy frequency, enemy difficulty, boss battles, and things like that. So if the game feels a bit too hard for you, then this is something that you'll want to check out. However, you don't get the unlocks that you do in the main game. When you're playing through the main game, there's basically a leveling system, and every time you get to a next level, you get another thing unlocked, whether it's a piece of clothing or an ability that you can use at the start of your playthrough. The abilities at the start of your playthrough range from different things like maybe making your magic stronger, making you have more arrows or stronger arrows, or giving you some health at the start of the level. So you can sort of figure out which of these abilities that you like to start through the game and then get a subsequent playthrough of the game. There's also an arena mode in the game as well that's basically just has you playing through different waves of enemies. Now, much like in the main game where there's an unlock system, there's also an unlock system that's separate to itself in the arena mode. When you're playing through the arena mode, you basically can unlock different things called cards by leveling up your character, and the cards will give you abilities that you use at the start of the level. So once again, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to go through this and play through, fight different enemies. You sort of learn how the enemies work and things like that, so it's definitely beneficial to check out the arena mode. There's also daily challenges in the game as well that update every day, and they're a randomized challenge that will have you trying to do something different or do something unique. And of course, there are big upgrades that you can unlock by defeating the challenges. More so, there's sort of like an achievement trophy system. By doing certain things, you can unlock certain items in the game. So there's a lot of content in the game, honestly. In terms of audio and visuals, the game is definitely sort of on the simplistic side, but I think it works. The frame rate is very smooth, and which is good because there's a lot of times where there's a ton of different enemies on screen. Now, unfortunately, sometimes the action can get a bit too chaotic, in my opinion. There were times where I was just hacking and slashing and had no idea what I was doing, but people will probably like that aspect of the game. Like I said, there's no frame rate issues in the game, which is good because it's a very fast and fluid style of game. In terms of audio, I think everything is pretty well done, except for one thing, in my opinion. I like the music tracks in the game, but I feel like they're a bit too short. You can sort of feel when the track is going to loop again, and I don't know, it's just kind of distracting. As far as the grunts and groans and the splatters of blood as you're playing through the game, they all sound really well done. As far as how the game controls, like I said, it's a pretty fun and solid roguelike platformer game. One thing I did notice, though, is that your character can feel a bit slippery at times, and this is really accented by when you get abilities that really increase the speed of your character character. Like if you play on custom mode and you rank up the speed of your character, like he goes really freaking fast, and it's almost to the point of uncontrollability. Now in the main game you don't really encounter that too much, but there's definitely a bit of a curve when it comes to the platforming of the game. Once you get used to it, it's not really a big deal, but it's definitely something I noticed. All in all though, I've been having a lot of fun with Caveblazers. It's not gonna, redefine the roguelike genre or anything like that. It doesn't really do anything to sort of break the wheel of the roguelike stuff, but if you like these style of games, Caveblazers is a solid choice to pick up when it comes out on January 10th for the Switch. Like I said, there is a link in the description box down below, so make sure you guys go check out that link if you want to check out some more information on the game. But really, I enjoyed this game. There's a couple little minor quirks that I have with it. It doesn't really do anything to reinvent the wheel, but all in all, a very solid game, a very fun game, and a lot of unlockables that will keep you coming back for more. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of Caveblazers. Do you think this is a game that you'll want to check out? Do you even like roguelike games? If not, well, I guess I don't really know why you watch this video. And as always, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.